The morning tension at Fort Harrison Military Academy soon escalated beyond the ordinary drill, as Red Martinez, the new cadet who seemed like she didn't belong, began her unassuming journey into the crucible of military rigor, and while laughter and whispered bets circled the courtyard, the young woman quietly absorbed every command, every drill, every scrutinizing gaze, and as weeks passed, her awkwardness transformed into focus, her nervous fidgets into precise movements, and her seemingly fragile frame carried weapons with a confidence that surprised even the most seasoned instructors. Captain Rebecca Hayes noticed her subtle mastery with the rifle, the way Martinez could disassemble and reassemble it in seconds, the way her marksmanship drills left other cadets in awe, and yet she never flaunted her skill, letting silence and deadly accuracy speak for her. And in the Academy's weapon ranges, Martinez began to stand apart, her eyes scanning targets with uncanny precision, every movement measured, every breath controlled, until one evening, during a surprise tactical exercise, she was the only cadet to successfully navigate a simulated hostile infiltration scenario, neutralizing targets, using cover intelligently, and coordinating flawlessly under pressure, while veterans like David Chen and Jackson Ross watched in disbelief, realizing the quiet girl they had mocked now outperformed them in skill, strategy, and composure, and as the weeks turned into months, Martinez's legend grew silently, culminating in a final inspection that tested not just weapons proficiency but mental endurance, with cadets pushed to the edge in mock combat, tactical decisions, and endurance drills, and there she stood, rifle slung, eyes sharp, calm amidst chaos, every shot precise, every maneuver calculated, proving to instructors and peers alike that true strength isn't measured by size, heritage, or bravado, but by focus, skill, and the unshakable will to survive and succeed. And when the day's exercises ended and the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows over the courtyard, Captain Hayes made a quiet note in her log, acknowledging what everyone now knew: Red Martinez, the girl who looked like she didn't belong, had transformed into the Academy's most formidable cadet, a master of weapons, strategy, and resilience, whose story would be told to new recruits for years to come, a living testament that courage and skill often arrive in the most unexpected forms. What happened next surprised everyone, including Martinez herself, because the moment her boots crossed the threshold of the concrete building, the noise of doubt faded and something quieter but sharper took its place, a calm awareness that wrapped around her thoughts like armor, and while simulated gunfire echoed through the corridors and warning lights flashed, Martinez moved with instinct rather than memorized drills, her eyes reading shadows, her mind connecting fragments of information faster than she could consciously explain, and when a sudden laser hit dropped one cadet behind her, she didn't freeze or panic but adjusted, signaling with short, controlled commands that kept the team moving as a single unit, and watching from the control room, Colonel Morrison leaned forward slightly as the feeds showed the smallest, most underestimated cadet guiding her squad through chaos with surprising clarity, while Chen and Ross, forced to follow her lead, began to realize that confidence wasn't always loud or inherited, sometimes it was built quietly under pressure, and as the exercise escalated, targets appearing unexpectedly and teammates getting marked out one by one, Martinez adapted again and again, choosing patience over aggression, timing over speed, using the weapon not as an extension of ego but as a tool bound to discipline and restraint, until the final sensor registered neutralized and the building fell silent except for heavy breathing, and when the exercise was called, instructors exchanged looks that said more than words ever could, because the girl they had expected to fail had not only completed the scenario but had done so with composure that couldn't be taught, only revealed, and as Martinez stood in the aftermath, sweat streaking her face and her hands finally shaking now that it was over, She didn't look triumphant or proud, only focused, as if she had just confirmed something she'd always suspected about herself. And later that evening, as the sun dipped low over Fort Harrison and cadets whispered new rumors in the barracks, one truth had already settled into place. Red Martinez wasn't struggling because she didn't belong, she was struggling because she hadn't yet been pushed far enough to show who she really was. Her smaller size, once a target for ridicule, had quietly become her greatest asset as she navigated tight corridors and narrow stairwells with a stealth and precision that larger cadets could never match, and when she whispered "target acquired, ground floor east room" into her radio, her squad froze for a heartbeat before executing the distraction she had tactically requested from Chen, who responded with a mixture of surprise and grudging respect at her calculated command. And as the 45-minute exercise unfolded, Martinez led her team through 3 floors of simulated enemy combatants with decisiveness that earned nods from skeptical peers, even as Ross muttered about beginner's luck and whispered doubts about her staying power. Yet those critiques only sharpened her focus, driving her that evening to sit alone in the dim light of her dormitory, surrounded by tactical manuals and notes, while other cadets laughed in the common areas below, and a text from her older brother Miguel reminded her of her father's lessons about strategy, perseverance, and intelligence over brute strength, fueling her resolve for the next morning's grueling 5-mile run through the hills, where each stride was a test of endurance and will. And though Sergeant Thompson's jibes and the cadets' laughter stung, she pushed through exhaustion, refusing to let physical limitations dictate her potential, and in the classroom, she demonstrated the mental edge that would define her, answering Professor Williams' question about Alexander the Great with an insight that highlighted superior tactics, leadership, and the power of inspiring loyalty over sheer force, while Chen's dismissive eye roll underscored the contrast between raw confidence and true competence. And by the afternoon, at the firing range, her consistency and innate marksmanship shone with flawless precision, scoring 47 out of 50 and leaving nearby cadets, once skeptical, openly impressed, reinforcing the idea that her growth was neither luck nor accident but the result of relentless determination, quiet focus, and an understanding that in warfare, as in life, intelligence, discipline, and adaptability often outweigh size, strength, or pedigree. And as the sun dipped behind the academy buildings that day, Martinez stood with her weapon slung, hands steady, mind sharp, knowing she had taken another step toward proving not just her skill, but her indomitable resolve to thrive in a world built for those who had once doubted her. "Not bad," admitted Johnson, observing from her supervisor's perch, noting the precision in Martinez's grouping and consistency on the firing range, and when asked if she had prior experience, Martinez humbly credited her father, who had taught her early that every soldier must be proficient with their weapon regardless of their role. And over the following days, her excellence in academics, tactical thinking, and marksmanship continued to impress, though socially she remained isolated, excluded from study groups and casual learning sessions, forcing her to rely almost entirely on her own diligence and occasional guidance from sympathetic classmates, while the pressure of constant scrutiny weighed on her, compounded by knowing that peers like Ross and Chen waited for any sign of failure. And one evening, crossing the courtyard after a grueling day, Martinez overheard whispers of advanced leadership opportunities being considered by Colonel Morrison for top performers, igniting a spark of hope despite lingering doubts about her belonging. And as she ascended to her dorm, she reflected on her journey, the physical, academic, and emotional challenges that had tested her perseverance, and the memory of her father's lessons that reminded her true strength comes from determination in adversity, resolving silently to continue proving herself regardless of critics. And now, 3 weeks into life at Fort Harrison, the initial shock had given way to a routine of relentless improvement. Early mornings no longer terrifying but still grueling, and Colonel Morrison, observing with decades of experience, began to see in Martinez a potential that few had noticed, as her metrics and quiet leadership could no longer be ignored, and when the Academy intensified training during the fourth week with exercises designed to reveal real leadership under fire, Martinez confronted challenges that pushed her ability to guide, coordinate, and inspire others under simulated combat stress. While Captain Hayes evaluated her performance, noting that the girl who had seemed lost at the start was now demonstrating instinct, tactical intelligence, and the calm confidence of a natural leader, moving through scenarios with weapons ready, calling out coordinates, reading threats before they materialized, and ensuring her squad functioned as a cohesive unit, proving not just skill with firearms, but the rare combination of courage, strategy, and empathy that would mark her as someone destined to rise above the doubters and earn recognition far beyond what anyone initially imagined. Martinez met Thompson's challenge without hesitation, explaining calmly that cohesion didn't always mean proximity, it meant coordination, trust,